3309. I overlook outreach, fundraising, chairman's award. Now I'm paying because we have a lot of stuff to do. And I didn't add this, but my friend did because she went in. I was lucky enough to receive the Dean's List Award at LA. Areas of interest, engineering of course, but marketing and business, and I really like graphic design. So yeah. Whoa. So outreach, a definition. So on Team 3309, what I've learned is outreach is basically three things. It's a tool for change. You can change your community, city, state, nationally, and beyond. So that kind of starts really close to you, even with your team itself. You have to change culture, and it expands outwards like kind of like a dartboard, if you will. Then it's a way to publicize. You publicize first robotics. You can publicize engineering in general by telling kids about this cool robotics program, and then they get involved. Or it could just be charity in your team, and that's always good too. But finally, and I think this is the most important thing, it's a process of giving. Who here knows what the altruistic means? Probably not. So altruism is when you give something not because it benefits you, but because you give, right? So that will be kind of like the basis of my presentation going forward. But when you're doing outreach, you're giving your time, your knowledge, and your opportunities to other people. And those are all very important things to do. So for the picture here, this was a demo that we did last week. And that was us giving time, knowledge, and opportunity to these kids just by throwing a ball around and asking how the robot worked. Also, if I talk too fast, I do that a lot, so let me know. So, good goals to good outreach. Well, so a goal on your team is like a goal anywhere else. It's something you want to achieve. So what's a good goal and what's a bad goal? Good goal. Want to help others. That's really, really good for you. A lot of stuff can get born out of that. Bad goal. Want to get an award. So nowadays in FRC, a lot of teams sometimes fall into the trap of a numbers game. I'm going to do this because, wow, that's 10 FLL teams we started. And hey, look, we just traveled to XYZ. That's a lot of miles, that's a lot of money spent, that's a lot of hours. That's amazing, we must be amazing. While whatever you're doing is awesome, the goal behind it isn't necessarily the best thing because it's a numbers game and it's to get an award. And typically what you fall into is a trap of supersizing stuff rather than coming up with good, unique goals. So, what makes a goal good? Doing what is good because you should. I learned this at my high school. One of our theology teachers would say this a lot, and I think it gets to the heart of what First is trying to achieve. Of course, it's from, I guess, a bit more spiritual perspective, but it makes sense everywhere else. As a team, you should be doing what is good, aka feel good with maybe starting teams, maybe getting engineering into the homes of as many people as possible, because you should. Not because it helps you, not because you get an award, not because it's a numbers game, but because you should. And that's why the Chairman's Award is given to the role model team to be emulated. Nobody wants to emulate a team that boosts numbers. People want to emulate a team that does stuff. Effects of bad goals. Lives are changed in a more surface level way. If you're supersizing numbers and just starting as many teams as possible, for example, who's to say that those teams you're starting are sustainable, right? Like if I'm starting as many teams as possible, I'm boosting quantity and degrading the quality of those teams. That's why the presentation has this name, quality over quantity. So I'm sure anybody here doesn't want the team that they started last year to fall, right? Because a team that falls means that they didn't learn anything, unfortunately, and they're not going to be interested in engineering the year after and the year after that. So that's why you should focus on quality. And like I said, outreach becomes more supersized or quantitative. If you guys are right here for the scouting meeting, we have qualitative and quantitative data. Quantitative is numbers, qualitative is the amount to which those numbers mean to you in outreach. So quality versus quantity. In quality outreach, and a lot of teams that do this, off the top of my head, 1114 and 1538. Those are championship world chairman's winners. Quality outreach is an emphasis on the way and extent a community has been genuinely changed. So if I change the life of one kid and get him to become a person like Dean Kamen, that's far better than teaching 10 kids a surface level lesson in engineering like pneumatics, and then them going back to, like, let's say, just doing what they're doing before. Maybe that could be sports or writing or whatever. You want to change people's lives. You don't want to just be there, present for a little bit. Well, quantity outreach. Emphasis on the amount of events, teams, hours dedicated. This is where it becomes a numbers game, and it kind of becomes corrosive to your team. So I was on the chairman's team last year, And something that really changed this year, I guess, was the fact that when we focused on numbers, it was more so focusing on the goals and events that we thought really were successful. We tossed out a ton of stuff that we think were just superficial. Because honestly, when you're on a chairman's team, you're like, well, we don't have enough numbers. You start to panic because you're comparing yourself to the other numbers of the other teams. Because now you think that what sets you apart is the amount of stuff you do, not what you do. And I'll say at LA, which we were lucky enough to win chairmans, we were not suspected to win chairmans at all. That was our first year we've ever actually done well at chairmans. And the thing that set us apart genuinely wasn't the amount of numbers that we had, and honestly, compared to some other teams, our numbers were a lot smaller. It was the way that we carried ourselves and the way that we did stuff, which was set us apart from other teams. And that was told to me from a judge, the head judge at LA. So, the good versus bad goal effect. Good goal breeds quality ideas. If you want to help somebody, that's your mission statement. So much stuff can come from that. If I want an award, not much can come from that, especially with an award like chairman's, right? Because it changes every year what the judges are supposedly looking for. So then you're tailoring it to this sort of game process, and who's to say it works that well based year to year, because you don't know what the judges are thinking. That's impossible. So if you have your own mission statement and you achieve what you want to achieve, not achieving what the award wants you to achieve, changes will happen immediately in your culture and what you do on your team. And of course, actually, what turns out is good outreach leads to awesome results. So earlier in this presentation, I was mentioning how people want the award, people want the recognition, so on and so forth. But in reality, you're looking at the wrong thing. You want to help people, and what comes out of that is the award and the recognition and knowing more people and so on and so forth. So in the community, we have an increased interest in robotics. We're showing new programs to schools and involvement in local government. Those are all great stuff, and a lot of teams maybe just be shooting for that immediately. However, those are more so results, and the means by which you get there cannot be tailored just to those results. They have to be tailored toward achieving a mission statement. On other teams, so here, for example, this picture right here is a picture between us and the Warlords down in San Diego. And by just wanting to teach their team 3 topics that really affected us, so we taught about marketing, we taught about pneumatics, as well as scouting, I believe, to their team members, and they did the same thing to us the other way around. We actually built a really good rapport with a team that's known for their outreach and engineering and all that type of stuff. So that's something that's really good that came out of doing stuff that just helps somebody else. Resource of knowledge and experience. So when you get to know other teams, you get immediately like kind of like a faucet tap into their knowledge and what they've learned. And finally, like this all ties back into everything else, like new connections. So now we have our connection with the Warlords. This year, for our chairman's presentation, funnily enough, we emailed Karthik Kanagasa, on Team 1114 to preview our chairman's presentation and essay. And what he said was, this is really good, this stuff is lacking, so on and so forth. And that's just because we reached out to him, and not saying that we have a permanent connection with him now, but because we were able to build those connections based on what we did before. Side effects come out of that are beneficial. So when you aim for the side effects, typically what you're going to do is less than what you wanted initially. And on the season, so to be one of the 7 teams that have won that award at that event is a big deal for us. And it's not because we shot for the award, it's because what we did this year was truly impactful and the judges realized that fact. And honestly, I saw some of our mentors even crying because they started the team in 2010 and they went for the award every single year. And once we kind of clicked something and changed the way we attacked something happened. And that was great winning the award, but even better, we changed our community afterwards and like work paid off. So you have to put in the hard work to get what you want. And you have to have the right goals to do the right hard work. Also, the interaction with top teams, like I said, and tons of experience. Any questions about that? So I literally had no other pictures to show, so I decided to find a picture of us climbing in 2010, a picture of us nearly climbing in 2016. So that's pretty much it. So that was the outreach side, and now let's get into the marketing. This is a pretty quick workshop. I've talked about it a lot, so I can talk to you. Yeah, so marketing and business, what makes teams good at marketing? So who here can describe to me the 254 logo? Yeah, so a whoosh, right? If I wanted to draw it right now from memory. You guys say that's mostly right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty close. All right, what about, can somebody describe to me the logo for 1114? All right, let's see, what's another? Well, okay, you got the lemon.
The lemon.
All right, what does the holy cows look like?
Cow. It was the cow with the halo.
Yeah, halo, right? Let's see if I do this right. I like graphic design, I don't like drawing.
Yes.
So, those are 3 logos, of course they don't look like it, that you guys are able to name from memory. And of course it's hard to see holy cows because they're white. But it's because their team image carries weight. Your exterior image. This ties back into something that was told to me in LA. I'll get back to that in a second. What teams see out of you? So for 3309, we've always had relatively okay branding, but in the past 2 years we've stuck with the simple 3309 with a dash through it and fire bots underneath. Before that, the logos changed basically every year. And on top of that, we started to focus on our professionalism. That was a big deal for us because, I'm going to be honest, when we're at a competition, a lot of our guys start to notice what teams didn't do it well, and it would be like, oh, well, there goes that team again. And that's because their team image didn't mimic what they wanted to achieve, right? So our team wants to be a professional team that builds a successful robot, and it's on the outreach side, it maintains goals that uphold from like the spiritual side of our Catholic school. And we do that by acting professional in any way possible and keeping our attitude calm, cool, and collected, for the most part. Of course, competition gets fun, so you have a little bit of play. And I would say, for the most part, I think that that has relatively stuck to us. For any teams that consistently go to LA, we're relatively known in our area for that, as well as for our pit. Definitely, like, all the flashy lights helps. But also, it's what you become known for. So, how do I say it? Who here kind of has an idea of what the students on 254 are like? Maybe? Yeah?
This is from Tech Champs last year one. They're pretty good to talk to, especially when going down the hallway. They had all these different robots out, and somebody was there from their team to talk about them. So they were really approachable.
Yeah, so let's say smart, right? Good speakers. Were you talking to students or mentors?
Students.
Cool. All right. Who here has ever talked with 1678? Yeah. Or either of you. What was the thing that stood out to you the most?
No, they were all friendly. They all knew what they were doing.
Friendly and knew what they were doing. Sounds like the word smart to me. All right. Who here's ever interacted with the Holy Cows? What do you remember from them?
Well, I talked to a mentor and a student, but they were all very educated on what they were doing. They knew exactly what they wanted to say. So yeah, they were smart. They were also friendly, and they also they were just very upbeat about the competition. So
okay.
they had a positive attitude, and it was early, and I was tired, but I kind of fed off of that, so it was good.
So I think just something that they all had was passionate about what they did. They also like incorporate student confidence.
And the teams that I think we all know in our heads for the most part, we have an idea of what we think their students are like based on our own interaction with them and seeing their own image. And that goes in. So the logo that you guys have told me is reinforced by your experience with that team. 254 is not known as a number with a swoosh now. It's now known as a team that's very smart, has good speakers, and not to mention really good robots. So, what makes you, you to others, to put it very shortly. For 696, every single year, amazing branding, very professional team. Going to be honest, we mimic them in a lot of ways with their simplistic style and how they act. Good on them, because it really is effective. 5124, you guys, well, yeah, 5124. So, I was just making sure. So, you guys are a bit of a newer team for the LA scene. But the thing is, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, on our team they're known for A, good design, B, clean design, and C, their bumpers. Now, you guys might laugh at that, but their attention to detail, as well as when our students have talked with you guys, has all been positive. So now the West Point Robotics have now not become a good rookie team, they become an experienced team that really pays attention to detail. What makes you to others matters. And that you probably figure out in your social lives as well. What makes you is what makes other people want to talk to you. So that should be why your team focuses on that. So that depends on advertise logo. Honestly, your logo does matter a lot. Only because when I think of, let's say, 254, swoosh comes to mind. And then reinforced, smart, good speakers. I agree with that. Whoever, yeah. And then also when I think of even like teams all the way across the world, or even on the East Coast that I've met, like 610. They're in Canada, not East Coast, but it's all the same region. I talked with a little bit of their team, not that much when we were at Champs, but I know that they're known for being very clean, and unfortunately they had an off year in 2015. So I was able to know more about them by discovering more about them, and therefore 610 becomes something bigger. Second thing, overall culture. This is kind of a hard thing to hit, but who here has had a bad experience with the team, unfortunately, at one point or another? And it's okay, be honest. You don't have to say the team at all. I'm assuming we're all friendly here. I would say Southern California teams are actually really, really good culture. Not a lot of drama. But could you describe just some attributes of what made them stand out to you in a negative aspect?
Wait, what was the question?
Like, why did that team stand out to you as a kind of negative in a sense, rather than positive, like you listed with these teams?
I guess like how they perceive us.
Okay.
And like sometimes they might think that they're kind of almighty.
Okay.
In a sense.
All right. So, and I've seen many teams like that, and I'm going to be honest, our team as well as others have definitely fallen to that, doing that too. In the case of competitions even.
I'm kind of talking overall. Every once in a while, we would go to some of the stands, and we try to talk or start a conversation, and they just didn't want to talk.
Okay, so that would be the opposite of friendly, and I could give you some numbers right now that would reinforce that too. Anybody else? Yeah.
Some of them weren't as smart as a lot of the other teams. I'd go over to a team and ask a question, and it'd take me forever to find a person that had the right answer.
And now, from a third-party perspective, some people might think that we're all being maybe a bit judgy or a bit jaded right now. But however, your interaction with that team has now made that number stand for something not like this, but unfortunately something else. And, right? So now you know that number, and you're like, okay, well, maybe not, right? Like, that definitely plays in. I will tell you, in alliance selection, the way you're known by others affects if they want to choose you or not. That affects, maybe from the judge's perspective, what happens in the pit is known by the judges. I'll give you a tale at LA. So at every single regional, whether you know it or not, that first day during practices, the judges are there. They're not wearing their blue shirts. And the reason why I know that is because when we were lucky enough to win at LA, I was talking with the judges, and they said that our team stood out because we only had students in the pit, and when we had mentors in the pit, it was a mix of students, as well as the fact that we were always inviting, for the most part. And I think the one that stood out the most is whenever we were at a match, after the fact too, we wouldn't stay for judges. I was the guy that was supposed to be sitting in front of the pit, but I cared a lot about how my team was performing, and so did everybody else that was supposed to stand in front of the pit. That actually speaks volumes, because this calls back to outreach. If you're looking for the award, you're not going to care about how your team's performing. Therefore, you're going to stay in front of the pit. And while that's a good idea, support of the overall team and your overall culture toward and attitudes of your members affects the way others see you. And I'm not saying that what we did is exactly what made us win. And I'm not saying if you're doing it, if you're not doing it, you're not going to win. Right? Like if you're standing in front of the pit, you're not like taken out of the running. That's a good way to go about stuff, and that's very strategic. But it's just an example where the first time impression, and especially for LA where we have new judges this year, I believe that was the case, as well as other regionals, like new regionals entirely, that matters. That first impression really does matter, and it sticks out to people's mind. Finally, performance on and off the field. We already talked about off field, but your performance on the field definitely affects the way others view you too. So, who here has ever gotten a foul in a match? Be honest, I know we have.
I think we've got one.
No. All right. So, exactly. So, at one point or another, we've all gotten fouls at one point, and that maybe affected us being picked or not. Who knows? But we all probably have a team in our mind, doesn't matter who it is for you guys specifically, that maybe consistently did that. Or maybe consistently acted poorly towards you on the field. Maybe they told you what to do and you didn't have confidence in it. So on and so forth, X, Y, and Z. You could list a bunch of reasons. And that performance on the field shows a team maybe at their best and at their worst. And if you're looking to have good marketing, you need to make sure to some extent that that is maintained. Our team, when we are leading the strategy, we will never tell a team what to do. We'll ask them what they're capable of, back it up with data why we don't think so, and then we'll have a conversation from there. But we won't say, you're doing this, you're doing that. We're not 254, so we're not going to act like 254. That's what they do in a match situation, but they've earned that right in a sense because they come up time and time again. And I guess for some, in some instances, that's a case of people becoming bigger than what they are. You said almighty, right? That stands out a ton. If you see, let's say, some 6,000 team telling you what to do, going to be honest, that's going to stand out to you as a bad situation because it's their first or second year. You're going to be asking, well, come on, I've been in teams for 6 years. Why are they telling me what to do? It sticks out. So the image is the team, and company advertising is FRC advertising. So we're going to do the same experiment. If I find an eraser, actually right here. We already see the Apple logo, but raise your hand and tell me what you think as an adjective which comes to mind when you say when I say the word Apple. Yeah.
Adjective?
Yeah.
Like, clean cut?
Clean cut. All right, that works. Yeah.
Easy, because it's just really easy to use.
All right.
Convenient?
Huh?
Convenient?
Yeah, convenient. Simple. A lot of you guys are coming up with a lot of good ideas because that's what Apple has become known for. In marketing world, that's known as a rebus, where the shape becomes known for an idea. That could be seen in emojis. Laughing face comes with the idea of joy, excitement, and laughter and humor. You could go on and on about how many rebuses there are in our lives. Nike. Give me some adjectives on what Nike represents. Yeah.
Just do it.
Okay. That's our marketing campaign, but what's an adjective? Just straight adjective, what you think of when you see the Nike swoosh.
Sports in general, just kind of
Athleticism, maybe?
athletics.
Anybody else? I mean, Nike's pretty big. Yeah.
Shoes.
Shoes? Okay. So that's what they make. What do they represent, though? Athleticism makes sense.
Confidence.
Confidence. That's really good. I like that. So now when somebody walks around with Nike stuff, if they're really materialistic, they might think that they're all those things. But honestly, everybody thinks they're that thing when they're going to buy it at the store. Man, I'm going to go get a new pair of Nike sneaks because I think that I'm going to do better now because, man, athletes wear these. I'm an athlete. You get it, the idea. Finally, let's do Google. Anybody want to raise their hand and give me something about Google, maybe?
Search engine.
Search engine. All right. What about their search engine?
It's blank.
What?
What I like about Google is their design with the
Animation dance.
animation of Google, like every time it's someone's famous birthday or it's a
So it's their attention to
holiday,
detail?
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's something, I don't know if you, what?
Show the same colors.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
It's very catchy. Instead of saying I'm going to search for something, you say I'm going to Google something.
That's also a good point, right? So what these companies have mastered in their mind, and what has worked on all of you guys very successfully, I might add, is the right attitude. Nike carries confidence in the fact that they always show somebody making a shot, draining shots all over the court, and then telling you, just do it. You now think, man, I want to be athletic. Of course, I hate sports, so I'm not going to do it, but you know, who cares? Right?
Robotics.
Robotics is the varsity sport of the mind. That's correct. And that makes you think.
It's an official sport in Texas.
Hey, Texas is a big state. Okay, Apple. That's, I'm going to be honest, like maybe a status symbol of luxury, right? So I have an Apple phone. I'm with the in crowd now. So on and so forth. It's convenient. It's easy. Everybody has it. It's popular. I'm now popular. That might not be what you're exactly thinking when you're buying an iPhone, but it is what you're thinking subconsciously. That's why people buy them. Google, you guys say convenient. It also helps that they're so, this is sound weird, but pervasive. They exist and they're there in many places. But also, who here remembers the Google ad from 2012 where the guy who's a bachelor is searching stuff on the search engine and it says like, what to do on a first date? Clears that out and then he says, okay, what to do on a first date, how to tell a girl I love you in French, jobs in France, plane tickets to France, how to assemble a baby crib. So it's very, very heady, I guess, but it's conceptual. You go from a guy that met a girl to so on and so forth, and it's all using their tool. And they're saying in that ad, what you could do with us is you could start a life, because we have the access to the world's information. So that's the right attitude. And a bad attitude is bad business. You guys have teams in your mind that have bad attitude, that's bad business for you, right? Picking, talking, conversing, scouting, strategy, name it. That's bad business. And I'm going to be flat out. No one wants to work with mean or rude people. We've all might have been that one person, and it hurts to be because everybody actually reacts to how you react. That's how humans work. And if you're a team that is maybe resembling, okay, how about let's do a bit of an experiment. Who said Apple was convenient, right? So in a very, very abstract sense, if I pick 254, what would be an adjective to describe that alliance for me? Convenient. Convenient for me. I'm going to win. That's very convenient. All right, let's see. You said athletic, or for me, confident. Also, 254, confident. You could say that for a lot of other teams too, like 973. You could say that for 1678, 1538. Name it. 330? Yeah, 330. But there's a cool thing about 330. They're very, very kind. I don't know if any of you has ever had the pleasure of talking to a 330.
Yes, yes.
Very nice people. And honestly, that's their charm.
This looks like that's 69 minutes.
Yeah, right? So like, maybe they're not known for their logo. Personally, I'm going to be honest, their marketing might not be the best, but they're an epitome of a team where marketing is lost on them because they don't need it. We all know who 330 is, right? For the most part, they won world champion. They're world champions this year, in case you guys didn't know. For the teams that have talked with them, they're nice, they're kind, they're successful, and they build great robots. I don't need to know their logo to know that exists. And that's the best case scenario, to be honest with you. You guys can focus on logos. I know we do. I know 968 and 696 does, and that's how we do it, and that's a great way to do it. But what I would suggest for all three of our teams, is everybody else here, also work on your culture. I'm not saying that you guys are known for bad things, I'm not saying we are either. But there's always something that could change, there's always something that could be done, right? And I'm going to be honest also, I want to be like 330. I want to be known as the nice team. I want to be known as people that want to talk to me. That'd be awesome. So start with what your team goals are. My team's goals, professionalism, building a nice robot, making sure people learn over the course of the season, and overall, being known. Like that's always been our goal, to hopefully be known as well as much as maybe one of these teams one day. It might not happen, but it's a good goal to have because we want to be able to be that team that others look up to. That's been our goal for a little bit now, and I think it's sticking with our guys. And born out of that comes, well, we want to be a team that others look up to. We'll be sure as hell act like one, to be honest, right? Like if you're the team that's incurring fouls, or you're the team that's like, no, I want to do what I want to do in this alliance because I tell you that we'll do it, and by God we will, and by the way, you guys aren't doing that well either. Teams have said that to us. I mean, it's happened. Or if you're the team that maybe doesn't even show up to matches because you're just not on your game, unfortunately, for whatever reason. Some teams have a good reason because their robot's not working. Maybe other teams are just not on it because they're in the competition for different reasons. You become known for different things, not things that make you successful. I think that's pretty much it. So yeah. You guys have any questions at all? Nope. Nope. How much time do we have? Because I was looking at the extra time just have to discuss.
20 minutes.
20 minutes?
About.
Oh yeah, not 7:20 to 8:20. So with what you guys now know, what outreach projects have, if anybody wants to tell me, like that you guys have been pursuing lately? If anybody wants to tell me what outreach projects they're either thinking about now or have currently pursued. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so like, even though we've been in our FRC for like 15 years, we're really starting our outreach.
Okay.
Like making it bigger. So then like we started doing like rookie training days where we just invite like elementary schools or middle schools
They're
to
good.
our, yeah, to our campus, and we basically have them do like these small projects that they can do in everyday aspects. And then we just recently did our first summer camp, and that went pretty well. Like our idea for that was STEM Squared, which was
Is that the shirt you're wearing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's like the traditional science, technology, engineering, and math, but we wanted to include all the characteristics in those things.
Okay.
So it would be sportsmanship, teamwork, enthusiasm, and motivation.
So why did you guys do that?
Well, there's always the, I don't know how to describe it. I guess it's like we do want to inspire kids in our community. There are a lot of kids that I guess are interested in like building robots and stuff like that, but they don't necessarily know how, or like robots are cool, but you know, not every single student is gonna want to like go out and actually pursue a career in it. With STEM Camp, you kind of like narrow it down a bit, and then you teach the students who like, I don't want to put this in like a rude term, but the ones that care like a lot about engineering and stuff, or STEM in general. So yeah.
So would you guys agree with this, right? For the most part?
Yeah, we want to inspire kids to pursue something in the future if that's really what they aim to do.
Thank you, Brad. I asked you guys, that sounds like an awesome goal, right? What were your numbers like? How successful was it?
It was
Because it was the first one, like I was surprised.
Did it exceed your own expectations? How about that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it did. It was decently successful. It definitely exceeded for our first year of doing it, and I loved every single one of the kids that we met. Some of them a little bit more than others, but like I still loved them all. They were still all great. They had their moments at times, I guess. But
So-
it was like they were like third grade and loud, but still.
Yeah, so you guys set out to teach and inspire kids, and what you got was it exceeded expectations. I'm going to start writing cursive, although you can't read it really quick.
It's all right.
Here we are. That's a really good example of having the right goals in mind. And I plus 968 for that. And that's really awesome because when you have the right goals, awesome stuff happens. Gonna be honest, right? Like I said back before, if they said, well, because every team has an outreach program that involves a summer camp, we should have one too. How do you go from there? Where do you go from, when you say, everybody has one, we should do it, where do you actually go with that idea? Do you directly copy it? Is it successful? What if you make your own? Well, I mean, do we want to make our own? Like, why do we want to do this in the first place? Well, it gets us an award. All right, how about we do something else because this seems too complex? You dashed out an entirely good idea, objectively good, but subjectively bad. I don't think I'm using that word right. Who cares? Because you started at the wrong point, right? And now, no doubt in my mind that what they did was great, not because they said, oh, 150 kids were top, or hey, 60,000 hours came out of that, but because they liked it. They liked what they did, and they're happy enough and proud enough to tell it to not only me, but to you guys. That's something that they should put on the chairman's submission. That's awesome. Good for you guys. And it stands on its own, right? Like, nobody can take it down because it started with a good basis, came up with a good execution, and exceeded their expectations. And not gonna lie, I've never known you guys as an outreach team, but now that sticks out in my mind that you guys are focusing on your culture. You've just hit all 4 points in like a straight row. That's awesome. So, and if anybody else wants to tell me about an outreach program, I can dissect it if you want. But that's kind of the basic process of what you guys should be doing, right? And 3 through 9 does it for the most part really well. There have been some stuff where we're like, maybe we should do it because other teams do it. And what we do, if we get that idea in our mind, is we say, okay, other teams do it, but what's the 3 through 9 way of doing things, and why would we want to do it? Yeah.
For me, when I saw on our team, like this is my 3rd year on the team. I'm a senior this year, and what I've noticed in the past years are we don't do a lot of outreach. Well, at least we do outreach, but I wish we could do more with that. And I say I wish we could do more because every year or every few weeks we'll sit as a team and say, oh, you know, how did this season go for you guys? Or what did you guys like? What did you guys did not like? And what comes up a lot is, oh, I wish we went to these kids here or this program here. I wish we did this. I wish we did more of this, but we never actually. We have the idea, but we never really made it happen.
Like executed.
Yeah, executed. So I feel like that's something I want to work on this year with our team, to actually, because the passion is there to do it, and I think I wouldn't have noticed that if I hadn't like listened to others. I don't think if that wasn't there, we'd be able to do other things with it.
And
That's not really an outreach program, but I'm just.
No, and that's a good point, because it's kind of a self-fulfilling circle, if you will. You have a good goal, and it's something that you can stand by. Teach and inspire. For you, you want to help your community. I would say there's not a single human out here in the world that likes to do good things. Because maybe they feel good in their heart about it. Maybe it's because it's a spiritual thing. Maybe it's some other reason. But it makes them feel good, and it makes others feel good too. That's a good way to start. Then you start with your execution. With them, it was the STEM squared. And with your team, it's about going to other people and actually making FIRST Robotics known. And then you execute it itself, actually. And I'm going to assume it will exceed all of your guys' expectations because you've never done it before, or if you have, you wanted to improve upon it because your goal was to help other people, and if you think that you're not doing it right, it's going to get better because goals propel people to improve. And then it loops back. I feel good again. I want to, and I hope these people feel good. Let's do something else. Hell, maybe not even do like a STEM squared center or STEM squared project. What if we, in fact, created a database filled with a bunch of documentation that we could actually give to teachers during the classroom so that they could teach to their students about robotics? I don't know if I called it or not, or maybe I did, but it becomes a self-fulfilling cycle. They have this idea now. All right, well, we've never done that before. I don't know if you guys have. I didn't even know if that was your idea in the first place. It's just something I came up with on the spot, to be honest. And then you go with the execution of the idea. And, all right, well, we taught kids before. We kind of know what they want to hear. Let's then go back and figure out, okay, well, what can we improve upon it? Well, I like that idea. Let's start. And it goes back over and over again. And honestly, when you start with that good goal, everything it gets made easier, and you do win the awards. It's easier for a judge, or it's easier for you to talk to a judge when they say, well, what did you do this year, if you actually give a crap. You're going to be flat out honest, right? Like, if you don't care, or if your goals were to get the award, you might come up with either fake, not experienced enough, or not personable. If you're fake, that's when you really want the award, and you're going to say, well, we did this. And that's because, and you're just telling them what they want to hear, not what you want to say.
Also, I feel like if you're doing it just for the award, it would be something like you do only to its minimum, like, oh, we just did this, and if you wanted to do it to help or inspire others, you'd go far more than what you want to. That's why you would exceed your expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and no, I completely agree. And that's known to judges, off the bat. And then you have the inexperienced part. What did you do this year? I don't really know, nothing really stands out, gonna be honest. Well, that's completely understandable to say if you didn't really focus on your goals for it. If you guys just wanted to win the award, a lot of stuff is going to get jumbled. Well, we did this, 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 and this if you guys have enough resources. Or these 3 projects, but you don't really know how they got executed because you didn't really have the wherewithal to see them through. The goal was to win the award. You want to win the award. You don't want to have a successful event or idea. Or maybe you're just not personable enough. You just keep on, and that ties into being fake. You just keep on talking faster about, well, we did this, this, and this. Projecting to them what you think they want to hear. It might not even be what they want to hear. Who knows? How can you guess? You don't think what they think. So it's like dumb to even try to attack it from that angle. And hands down, I hope I really didn't piss them off. I'm just kidding. So if you just start with what you want and what your team wants, everything becomes easier.